Hi Rangers, today we're going to have an introduction to functions. So our objectives for this video are to represent relations in different forms, to determine if a relation is a function, and to identify domain and range of relations. So we're going to start off with some vocabulary. So first we have domain and range. So domain is going to be the set of all x values and inputs. Our range is going to be the set of all y values and outputs. Okay, so to help us remember this, we have our good old friend Dr. XY. And this helps us remember that the domain is our x's and the range is our y's. Okay, looking at our first examples, it says describe how each of the following are represented. So we're going to use words like graph, ordered pairs, mapping, or table, and then we're going to identify the domain and range. Okay, so starting off, this is an example of a mapping. Okay, and if you notice, the mapping has an arrow going from one number to the other. So our input, which would be our x values, is 1, and the output, or our y values, is 2. Okay, if we look at the second one, 2 is going to 4, and then 3 is going to 6. So again, our domain is our x values, our range is our y values. Okay, so our domain is going to be, we're going to use little braces. We have 1, 2, and 3, and we close our braces. Okay, for the range, we're going to list the y values, but I'm going to list them in order. So I have 2, 4, and 6. Looking at the next one, we have a table. Okay, and it gives us our input and output. Remember, input is our x values, output is our y values. And I am going to list the domain, again, our x values, which is 1, 2, and 3. Our range is our y values. We have 2, 4, and 6. Okay, moving on to the next one. We have a graph. And again, we want to list the domain, which is our x's, and the range, which is our y values. So looking at a graph, I'm going to zoom in real quick. Okay, so looking at my x values, so this is the x-axis right here. So it looks like I have 1, 2, and 3. If I look at the y values, so now I'm looking at the y-axis, it looks like I go to 2, 4, and 6. Okay. Our last one, this would be an ordered pair. And again, domain is our x's, range is our y values. So we have x comma y for each of these. So my x values are 1, 2, and 3. And my range values are 2, 4, and 6. Now looking at the next part, it says what is a function? So a function is a relationship in which the x values goes to exactly one y value. So let's write that. A relationship in which each x value, okay, remember our x values are also our inputs and our domain. Oop, ran out of space. Let me fix that. Goes to exactly one y value. And our y values are our outputs and our range. Okay, so how can you determine if a relation is a function? Well, first off, our x's cannot repeat. And then we have something called the vertical line test. Okay, so let's look at some examples in practicing this. So if we have a graph, we're going to use the vertical line test. And if we have ordered pairs or a mapping, we're going to look to see if the x's repeat. Okay, so it says determine if the relation is a function. So we have 5, 1, 0.5, or 0.756, 5, 3, and 8, 4. Well, if you notice, I have two x values going to two different y values. So therefore, this is not a function. Because the x value 5 goes to two different y values. Okay, looking at the next one, we have a table. It goes -3, 6, -2, -6, -1, 6, and 0, 6. Okay, I look at my x values, nothing repeats. So yes, this is a function. Okay, no x values repeat. It does not matter if the y values repeat, just the x values cannot repeat. Okay, now we have a graph, so this is where we would use our vertical line test. So the vertical line test says that if you draw a vertical line, you can only hit one point on your graph. If you hit more than one point, then it fails. So if I look and I draw my vertical line, no matter where I draw a vertical line, I am only going to hit one spot on this line. So therefore, this is a function. Okay, looking at number 8, if I draw a vertical line, notice how I hit two different spots on the graph. So this makes it not a function. So no, it fails the vertical line test. Okay, looking at our next example, so we have some points on a graph. So again, we can do the vertical line test. So if I draw a vertical line, am I ever going to hit 2 points no matter where I draw it? And it doesn't look like it. Okay, so you can draw as many vertical lines as you want to check. So here, no line hits 2 points. So yes, this is a function. Okay, number 10, it's a multiple choice question. It says which is a function. So we have all these mappings we need to check. Okay, so let's look at letter A. So we have 2 going to 5 and 2 going to 13. So because this 2 has 2 different y values, it is not a function. If I look at letter B, it goes 2 to 8, 5 to 2, 8 to 5. So this looks like it could be a possibility, but let's double check the other ones. Okay, C has 2 to 8, 5 to 15, and then 8 to 8 and 8 and 17. So again, this x value is going to 2 different y values, therefore it is not a function. And last but not least, answer choice D. Notice this 3 is going to 2 different y values, so this is not a function. So our answer would be B. Okay. Now what I would like you to do is a quick summary of what you have learned, and look back and highlight keywords or vocabulary, circle anything that's unknown, place a question mark next to anything you have a question about, a check mark if you understand a concept, and EX next to anything that would be an example. And if you have any questions, please write it down and make sure you ask your teacher.